painted the scene of a deep romantic chasm, the kind of place where a woman might well wail for her demon lover, Coleridge now describes the sacred river bursting forth from the chasm with tremendous pulsating energy. If you want to see something orgasmic in this description, go ahead. Those fast, thick pants may or may not be intended to carry erotic overtones, but the image of the earth forcing a mighty fountain out of itself can certainly be interpreted in that way. We can also see these lines as an evocation of the process of giving birth, a constant outpouring of creative energy. There's not enough here to come to a firm conclusion yet, but there's a hint that perhaps it is this, the creative process itself, that Coleridge is concerned with in this poem. For now, let's just add that thought to what we've already noticed about the contrast between the light and airy pleasure dome, a man-made creation with measurable dimensions that rises upwards, and the caverns measureless to man with their sunless sea into which the sacred river flows. Is the river perhaps some kind of conduit between these two opposing features of the landscape of Xanadu? And is that landscape itself a kind of mapping of the poet's mind in the very moment of creative inspiration? That's the kind of approach that critics like Dorothy Mercer and Irene Chase were suggesting in the 1950s and 60s, and it's certainly worth considering. Perhaps, as Warren Stevenson suggests in a paper published in 1973, Kubla Khan's act of decreeing a pleasure dome symbolically unites the idea of God creating the world and the artist or poet creating works of the imagination. Again, these lines are finely crafted. There's plenty of alliteration, ceaseless and seething, miles, meandering, mazy and motion, and so on, all adding to the rich texture of the poem. The rhythm is a basic iambic pentameter. The rhymes are mostly in a regular A-A-B-B-C-C kind of pattern, with half rhymes and occasional variations, notably the A-B-B-A rhyme of lines 25 to 28, which reinforces the sense of the river meandering, and the switch to tetrameter with the two-syllable rhymes pleasure and measure, before reverting to the basic pattern of the stanza in the final couplet. Those variations in the rhyme and rhythm coincide with the repetition of imagery from earlier on in the poem. The pleasure dome itself, the measureless caverns, while lines 29 and 30 and 35 to 36 carry the poem forward with new information, the ancestral voices prophesying war, and the sharpening of the contrast between the pleasure dome and the caves with the words sunny and ice. As ever, these technical features of the poem seem so finely wrought that I find myself doubting Coleridge's version of how the poem came to be written. How can such well-crafted work simply happen? If there's anything that makes me think that maybe it was a spontaneous creative outpouring, much as the river itself bursts forth from the earth in these lines, and that he was interrupted before he could complete it, it's those lines about Kubla Khan hearing ancestral voices prophesying war. Those lines seem ripe for further development. They carry a hint, perhaps, that art, pleasure, creativity have their counterparts in conflict and destruction, that even a magnificent artifice such as the pleasure dome may be destroyed, but the point is not developed. If there's any aspect of the poem that tends to confirm Coleridge's claim that the poem is incomplete, I feel that this is it.